Let's put it this way. At this very moment, 3 in 5, according to one survey, 3 in 5 Americans believe we're already in a recession. Now, I hate to say it, but some of this, I think, is because, for the most part, on Wall Street, almost all of your economists lean left. Some lean really heavily left. And maybe they've just been loath to say anything negative about this economy. And what made me think about it is today in Axios, they posted this article sort of alluding to this, but they kind of forgot to suggest that they also play a major problem along with the rest of the media, mainstream media. So let's bring in now District Media Group President Beverly Hallberg and, of course, our good friend Fox Business Network correspondent Ashley Webster. So, Beverly, it's if you listen to today's show, really the underlying gist to everything is messaging. How does Jay Powell message, the Fed's intended policy? How does Wall Street message this thing? And, the problem that bothers me is it's always messaging from on high. Wall Street to Main Street. Main Street has been messaging to Wall Street for a long time. We're suffering, and now we're starting to see it in official data. I mean, how do we fix this?
Well, Charles, I think we look at the disparity between Main Street and Wall Street and how they feel about the economic future. I think investors are finally starting to feel some of the pain that American consumers have felt for far too long. But Americans feel gaslit, whether it is from the Fed itself or whether it's from the Biden administration. So I think in many ways, this is a gift to the Trump-Vance campaign for them to focus on what they're referring to as the co-pilot of Bidenomics, and that is Kamala Harris. So they are using this in campaign literature. It's far better for them to use that than to actually focus on her race or her gender. And so I think it's a gift for them. And here's who I think is also going to look at this jobs report favorably, and that is people who have homes on the market that aren't selling. This is a gift to them. The interest rates may be going down, also to mortgage brokers. But it brings up a really big point that what people are feeling and seeing is not being communicated from those in the elite higher positions. And Americans just frankly aren't buying what our leaders are telling us anymore.
Yeah, Ashley, and to that point, listen, I think fewer people are thinking about politics today and thinking more about their own pockets. And you and I have been covering the Wall Street thing for a long time. And I understand all the guests that come on and say things are going to be fine. The market will reverse itself and go higher because the fix is in. But the main point, though, is today, from an economic data point of view, we're finally seeing some of this data that's a reality. And I just worry that policies, whether it's federal government policies or Federal Reserve policies, continue to ignore the plight of Main Street.
Yeah, and look at the numbers that we've been talking about. Yes, until today when the bubble burst a little bit, stocks have been moving higher. But for the average consumer out there, which is such a big part of the U.S. economy, look, credit card balances have been on the rise. Delinquencies on credit cards are on the rise. Mortgage delinquencies are on the rise. Savings balances are on the decline. All of this as people have continued to pay rising prices while wage growth has continued to slow down. It's been a really difficult mix. And while we're being told that inflation is down, okay, fair enough. People out there have been struggling for long enough. And I don't think that's really, until today, perhaps, really been talked about enough.
Yeah, the rate of the growth of inflation has slowed, but inflation, the compounding effects of it get worse and worse. So, Beverly, can the Republican Party articulate a message that says, hey, the free money in the end did not help you? All it did was temporarily go in your pocket and eventually made its way to the 1%. Can they articulate a message that we may need to figure out a way to level this the way Ronald Reagan did and Paul Volcker, which meant initially some pain, but then years of authentic prosperity without inflation?
Right. Well, I think what they can definitely point to is that we've already had these two presidents run. We know what the economy is like under Joe Biden. We know what it was like under Trump. I think they can just easily point to the records. And here's going to be the touch point. Can you actually feel the pain of the people out there? It's connecting with what they're struggling with. I was talking to some families this week where they were talking about having to go to numerous different grocery stores, finding the sales at every place. And we were talking about middle-class families spending extra time to try to be able to make ends meet just with food. Yeah. And so you have to touch that pain. That's something Democrats have ignored. I think Trump can tap into it.
All right. So, and folks, before, even without the politics,